Good evening. You are with the Urban Debate tonight. I'm Seher Zama. As you've noticed through the day, starting yesterday and through the day today, the central government has been busy marking 43 years of the emergency which was imposed by the late former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. It's been called the darkest phase of democracy by the HRD Minister Prakash Javadekar, which is why there will be a new chapter introduced in textbooks of schools and colleges across the country. The larger question is why? Something that happened about 2 generations ago lasted just for about 2 years. It was horrible, of course, on various fronts. But an equally pertinent question is why not? Why not study this as part of our history? All right, let's open this to our panelists tonight. We have Mr. Sushant Sareen, Senior Fellow of the Observer Research Foundation, the ORF. We have Mr. Sanjay Jha, spokesperson of the Congress, Ms. Anila Singh, spokesperson of the BJP, Mr. Upendra Prasad, spokesperson of the JDU, Professor J.S. Rajput, who's been the former director of the NCRT. There's Professor Vishweshwar Rao, the professor of the Osmania University, with us as well. Appreciate all of you being with us tonight. Let me start with the BJP first, of course. We have Anila Singh. Anila, if my voice is going through there, first question here on something that lasted for about 2 years. Help us understand, help our viewers, more importantly, understand how horrible was emergency, something that happened 43 years ago, and on why it needs to be revisited today.
Your voice is not very clear. I have requested for another EP, but what I can follow is that you are asking me that why emergency should be revisited or why it should be put in the textbooks of the children. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
All right. See, when we study about history, so whether it is good history, bad history, whether it should be remembered in a good taste or a bad taste, history is history. And it is the right of the students, or I can say the future and the present generation, to know about it. And an emergency is one chapter in the history of post-independence of our country, which is huge, big black blot on the forehead of our country. And so the children should know that what exactly it was and how the people who were not in the favor of Mrs. Indira Gandhi, they were treated, they were thrown in the prisons, they were treated like horrible, like anti-nationalist people. Though emergency was a phase which Indira Gandhi imposed on the people of our country, which that was anti-nationalist. But Indira Gandhi, she very well knew that what is going to be her fate. She imposed this thing, and people of our country, they had to face the heat of it, and all those who raised their voice against it, you know that what happened to them. And definitely, as a part of Bharatiya Janata Party, I'm very proud of our leaders who had participated in the opposition of emergency. But yes, this is one chapter. The students of our country, they should know about it. So in the future, if any of the political leadership, they even try to do it again in any form, they should get alarmed and alerted. And so,
all right, Sanjay, I'm going to ask you to respond to that in just a bit. But Anila, just a very simple question here to you, Anila, on questions being asked with respect to what our respected Union HRD Minister, Mr. Prakash Javadekar, has stated, that there isn't enough or there isn't any mention of emergency in textbooks. But there has been one chapter for political science students, a very detailed chapter on emergency for political science student, class 12 students NCRT, which has been there since 2007.
I'll appreciate if you can come to me after a few minutes, because I have requested for another EP. Your voice is not very clear. So it is becoming a little difficult for me to answer.
That's a very important
request.
question that I'm going to be repeating to you again once we fix. Yes, we're going to be fixing your earpiece in just a bit, Anila. Please bear with us. Mr. Sushant Sareen, help us understand on the kind of sense we have from the HRD minister's statement that there needs to be a mention of emergency in textbooks, but there has been very prominently since 2007.
Listen, I haven't read school textbooks for the last 30 years, so I don't know what is there in the textbooks today. But purely on the question of the principle of...
No, I'm telling you, Sushant, I'm telling you.
Which, whether we like it or
there
not...
There has been since the year 2007. And I've read the chapter. It's a very detailed chapter, and it's not flattering to the Congress leadership at all.
That's right.
Fine.
That's right.
My point is on the larger question which you're asking, whether it should be taught or it should not be taught. I think this was a seminal event in the political evolution of independent India. To whitewash it or to brush it under the carpet, we've done it on a number of things, regarding history. We've whitewashed history, we are past masters at it. Actually, we don't even know how to write history because we write history from a very political angle. Now, if we can deal with this in a dispassionate way, then I don't see any reason why it should not be taught. I think it is very important for everyone to understand that emergency per se was not an unconstitutional step. It is very much part of the Indian constitution, and it is very much within the rights of any government to impose emergency if it feels that the conditions warrant it. The problem, however, was that the 1975 emergency was seen as a purely cynical political act by a government which was in trouble. Now, people could have disagreements on that because when you look at what happened in the elections which followed, the north of India, which faced the brunt of emergency and the ham-handed and heavy-handedness of the state, voted one way. The south of India voted a completely different way. But having said that, I think there's also a political argument. Now, whether you can milk it for political benefit after more than 3 decades of the emergency, almost 4 decades, whether you can milk it still, given the fact that you have a completely new generation of people, bulk of your voters are today under the age of 25, whether they have any memories or they even care about what happened, that's a different question altogether. But teaching something which has happened, I think is par for the course.
Right. All right. Sanjay, yes, you wanted to step in this time, and also with respect to the kind of reactions that we've got from your leadership in counter questioning. Is that fair? Because at the end of the day, there's no saving grace as far as the event of the emergency is concerned.
Well, let me be very honest with you. The emergency was 21 months long. But I think, as Sushant Sareen correctly pointed out, it was under the provisions of the Indian Constitution and it was officially declared. What you have for the last 49 months in India is an uninterrupted, undeclared, unofficial emergency. That's a big difference between the two. Let me give you 2 examples. Number one, you have 4 judges of the
Sanjay, let's first get to the point of whether we should have more chapters on mentioning the 2 years, the 21 months of emergency. Let's look at the current state of affairs a bit later. First question, please. Should there be more chapters talking about emergency?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you this. And I'm glad you pointed out, because I was going to tell you that anyway, and to the viewers a mirror now, that the UPA, when the Congress party was a key component of it, in utmost transparency, has a full-fledged chapter on the emergency. And you're right. I mean, it has been very honest in its assessment, is critical of the political leadership of the time. I don't think any Congress leader that I know of, and I know many of them, have ever gone ahead and endorsed the excesses that happened. In fact, Srimati Indira Gandhi herself, within a year of the emergency that she had, actually after the emergency, when she lost the elections, in a speech at Yavatmal in Maharashtra, she said, I don't know whether anybody else will say it or not, but I wanted to publicly tell you that I regret and have remorse over the excesses that happened. I mean, that's the honesty that the party has displayed. On the other hand, I think it's important to set the context right, if you will give me 30 uninterrupted seconds, is the fact that you have a situation where today, the Maharashtra state education government, by the way, has reduced 317 years of the Mughal period in Indian history to 3 lines. They have actually bought 60 lakhs worth of books on Narendra Modi and 2 lakhs on Mahatma Gandhi. You want to know more? I'll tell you how the RSS has actually twisted history. So you have a situation today, if some of the stuff that Dinanath Batra, the RSS ideologue, does in the Saraswati schools of the RSS or the Vidya Bharati, the attempt is to try and influence susceptible, impressionable young minds, distort their knowledge of history, because that's how a fascist party eventually works. So they want young people to grow up not realizing that the RSS and the Jansangh had zero contribution to India's freedom struggle. You even had people going to the Supreme Court to start investigating whether Nathuram Godse in fact killed Mahatma Gandhi. So you are in a situation today where what you see is not what you get. And I can tell you this for a fact, Mahabharata apparently had the internet at that point. According to Mr. Modi, plastic surgery happened, during the time of Lord Ganesha.
But Sanjay, what are the fears of the Congress? What really are the fears of the Congress? If you feel that the Congress has spoken enough about emergency or what really truly happened on ground, what are the fears of the Congress today? If we have today's government have more chapters
no fears at
on
all.
the emergency, bringing it down to smaller classes as well, what are the fears?
Well, I'll tell you what our fears are. Our fears are that this government is capable of twisting reality at the drop of a hat. You are fully aware of it. I hope you are aware. I can give you 100 instances without even having to think about it. The BJP IT cell actually very publicly propagates fake news. You had Piyush Goyal, a senior cabinet minister in Modi's government, holding a full press conference on fake news.
No, but we're talking about the NCRT and we're talking about history books here. No, Sanjay, very clearly they would be far more vetted than just the BJP IT cell or a mere Twitter handle.
Oh, no. I think you haven't quite understood the enormity of the dangers here. I mean, we cannot stop them. But let me give you one example of the way it operates. I mean, it's for you to know it. It's in the textbooks. I can carry on this debate for 2 hours.
So this is on that presumption that it is going to be twisted and more color added to the events of the emergency. Sanjay, we got your point, please. Coming back to you in just a bit, bringing in Professor J.S. Rajput, former director of the NCRT with us.
Please do.
Professor Rajput, in your view, given the fact that this is history books or school books, textbooks and NCRT is what we're eventually going to be dealing with once these chapters are introduced on emergency for school children. Are these fears ill-founded by the Congress or those opposing that we don't need any more chapters on the emergency? And if we have any today, they're going to be seen through the political spectrum.
I'm not worried about how politicians think about it. You have invited me as an expert who wrote a new curriculum framework, who got new books prepared, and who still feels that our children should know all that which prepares them for future. We teach them in the textbooks that the President acts on the advice of the Cabinet. The Prime Minister cannot go direct to the President. That the President of India is the most respected person, he should have a spine. Now, where are the exceptions? Why my children should not know about it? They should definitely know that the Constitution can be superseded by one individual, one single individual. Now, this is the important point and that is to be discussed. We expect every child to go to schools up to class 8. Say up to class 10, most of them could go. Why should they not know? Even if they don't read history in class 11, 12 or political science class 11, 12, they must know about emergency. We tell them, respect our constitution.
All right, so you're saying that this should be pulled down to lower classes now, here as well? Okay.
No, I am saying that, yes, I am saying that. Why should they not know before they finish their education? And at present, our basic objective, constitutional guarantee is only up to class 8. It should be up to class 10 and 12. That is a different matter. They should definitely know about it. Now, if you have time, I can talk about it, because you have more time for politicians, not for academics. The issue is, when I was 18 years old,
No, I am
came to
asking
see the
you.
building of Parliament.
I think, Mr.
And
Professor Rajput, you misunderstood my question. I was essentially asking you the fears that we have from certain political parties or from other historians who are against this view that there need to be more chapters on emergency. The fear that it would not be going through the rigorous process of enough vetting, and it would be largely colored through a political spectrum if there are fresh chapters of emergency added today. That was my question. We should respect the process that textbooks and school
Yes.
books and the NCRT follows in giving out history. That was my question.
I'm surprised. I am surprised because 1970 onwards, the history, the political science, everything was given a particular color, and everybody knows about it. Nobody complained at that time. They have, taken over all the educational institutions, and they put one single color there. Now they are very much afraid because emergency is a fact. The emergency excesses are a fact. Why should every citizen not know about it? Why should every citizen not know that silently the people of India revolted against their constitution being suppressed and mutilated? And that is something which is very important. Every citizen should know his rights, should be able to utilize his power to vote and vote out, vote in and vote out. And therefore,
All right,
as an
we get your
academician,
point. Mr. Upendra Prasad, spokesperson of the JDU.
Now,
Mr.
listen,
Upendra Prasad,
what is to be
in your
written is
view,
to be decided by
yes,
the
we got your
experts,
point,
not by
Professor.
ministers.
I have to take in a view from each of the panelists before I come back to you. Mr. Upendra Prasad, are you in agreement with what has been announced by the HRD minister today?
निश्चित रूप से एचआरडी मिनिस्टर का जो कहना है कि इस देश में जो इमरजेंसी, जो काला अध्याय था भारतीय इतिहास का, उसको बच्चों को भविष्य में जानकारी के लिए उसको शामिल करना चाहिए ही, और किस तरह से नागरिक के अधिकार को उस समय के तत्कालीन शासन व्यवस्था ने जो अभिव्यक्ति के जो अधिकार थे उस सारे को जो छीनने का काम किया था। संविधान के 352 जो अनुच्छेद है, उस अनुच्छेद को प्रयोग करते हुए तत्कालीन राष्ट्रपति फखरुद्दीन अली अहमद के हस्ताक्षर से जो देश में इमरजेंसी लागू हुआ और जनता के अधिकार को जिस तरह से छीना गया, और आम नागरिक महंगाई के मुद्दे पर और भ्रष्टाचार के मुद्दे पर अपनी बात को रख रहे थे, जिस आवाज़ को दबाने का यह प्रयास हुआ, निश्चित रूप से विद्यार्थियों को स्कूल में, कॉलेजों में आपातकाल के समय की स्थिति को जानकारी के लिए, इतिहास को जानकारी के लिए पाठ्यक्रम में शामिल होना चाहिए। हम भी इसके पक्ष में हैं
जी। मगर उपेंद्र जी, आप इसके पक्ष में हैं। आपके जो फाउंडिंग मेंबर्स ऑफ आपके पार्टी थे वो पार्ट ऑफ दैट मूवमेंट अगेंस्ट इमरजेंसी एज वेल। मगर आपको ऐसा क्यों लगता है कि इन 2 सालों, इन 21 महीनों के बारे में काफ़ी जानकारी नहीं है? There is not enough material or books to refer to. There's not something hidden about emergency. There's a lot that is out there in the open.
नहीं, निश्चित रूप से इमरजेंसी के समय का, इमरजेंसी के पीरियड के बहुत सारे जो नेता थे आज भी हमारे बीच में हैं, और किस ढंग से उस समय की इमरजेंसी को लोगों ने झेला है। गुजरात से छात्र आंदोलन शुरू हुआ, बिहार में छात्र आंदोलन हुआ जिसका नेतृत्व लोकनायक जयप्रकाश नारायण ने नेतृत्व किया, और जिस महंगाई को, भ्रष्टाचार के खिलाफ पूरे देश जब गोलबंद होता है और उसी समय इमरजेंसी लागू किया है, तो उस समय के जो भी राजनेता थे आज भी हमारे बीच में हैं। निश्चित रूप से इस पर और काम होनी चाहिए और इतिहास को अच्छे ढंग से इसको लिखना चाहिए और पाठ्यक्रम में शामिल करना चाहिए, ताकि भविष्य में भी भारत और इस देश के छात्रों को, नौजवानों को जानकारी होनी चाहिए। इतिहास होता है, इतिहास में कभी स्वर्णकाल भी होते हैं, कभी काला अध्याय भी होते हैं। जिस तरह से हम आज़ादी के लड़ाई के इतिहास को पढ़ते हैं, मिडाइवल के हिस्ट्री को हम लोग पढ़ते हैं, एंशिएंट को हिस्ट्री को पढ़ते हैं, आज़ाद भारत के बाद भी एक देश में इस ढंग के एक काला अध्याय इतिहास में जुड़ा है, इसको भी भविष्य में छात्रों को जानकारी मिले, इसके लिए इमरजेंसी के पीरियड को निश्चित रूप से पाठ्यक्रम में शामिल होना चाहिए।
Professor Rao, in your view, do you think whether or not it is important for students today, for children today, to be revisiting what happened 43 years ago, which had a huge impact without doubt, but was for a brief period of 21 months, and how the information and knowledge of that is perhaps going to help youngsters today?
You know, it's unfortunate that the HRD minister of this country is not aware that we are already teaching in colleges and universities and schools. And NCERT has already written a chapter on emergency. But then the entire discourse today is Mrs. Indira Gandhi versus the Congress. Yes, it's an aberration in Indian history. It's a black chapter in Indian history for 21 months. We need to talk about it. We need to write about it. And emergency was also imposed within the constitutional framework of India. We also need to tell the students, Mrs. Indira Gandhi voluntarily at the end of 21 months also lifted emergency in this country. We are already talking about it. But I think much more important is today history is being rewritten. They are communalizing institutions. They are communalizing syllabus in this country. That is equally dangerous. Equally dangerous. Indian Science Congress has been communalized. Indian Historical ICHR, Indian Council of Historical Research has been communalized. UGC has been communalized. Indian Council of Social Science Research has been communalized. They are communalizing institutions. That also is important. So when you are talking about history, it is not versus emergency versus Congress. Yes, it's an aberration of Indian history. Mrs. Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister, imposed emergency. We need to talk about it rather objectively. Rather bashing Congress is not the issue. Bashing Congress.
Okay.
Jaitley went to the extent of saying Indira Gandhi is a Hitler. Hitler. Yeah. I think, it is very, very important. We need to look at it from that kind of
Sanjay, coming to you in just a bit, but let's go back to Anila Singh of the BJP here on this. The allegation here being, Anila, right from the start, having witnessed of how history books have already been changed in the past 3 years. Sanjay, of course, just mentioned how Mughals, 600 plus years of the Mughal dynasty has just been reduced to 3 lines in Maharashtra textbooks. So this essentially being the fear that when you have chapters of emergency written today, it is going to be politically motivated.
Absolutely not. And Sanjay Jha's love for the Mughal, I'm not surprised by that. But today,
no, it's not about Anila, you don't get the point. It's not a question of about having a love for the Mughals or any of the Mughal emperors. It's about distorting history or reducing history or reducing a huge chunk of what was part of India to just 3 lines.
Answer from Sanjay Jha.
Get the point, Anila.
I am definitely going to answer your question on it, but again,
I don't think
Sanjay
she's a student of history.
Now he showed his love towards Mughals, and then he narrated that how the chapters have been reduced. I just want to tell him, Mr. Surjewala compared Mr. Narendra Modi with Aurangzeb, and few days back, his party spokesperson, they were saying that Bharatiya Janata Party is against.
No, but Anila, I don't want to get into it. This is the problem. This is the problem. I don't want to be getting into this bashing of who said what and who compared whom to which character in history. It's just about the fear and an open allegation, not just from the Congress, but independent observers and historians as well, because in the past 3 years of what has been observed on how history is being distorted, therefore there is a fear that the reality concerning emergency would be far distorted, of course, without not defending the horrors of emergency, that
Can
being
I come
the
in
fear.
now?
Horrors of emergency.
One word from Anila on this.
Wanted generation of this country to know about it. So definitely it is the right of the people, and especially if I talk about the students, that they should know about it. And let me quote one more thing. When emergency was imposed in our country, In Bombay edition of Times of India, it quoted, "Democracy, beloved husband of truth, loving father of liberty, brother of faith,
Can you give me a
hope,
chance, please?
and justice," expired on June 26th. So definitely it is a black day. Definitely it is a black day, and people of our country,
Okay.
they have all the
All
right
right.
to know about it. What Congress wants to hide. Like, who
Okay,
can forget that,
Sushant,
what were the
Sushant,
conditions
Sushant,
in the
as an
country,
independent
and why
citizen
Indira
here,
Gandhi went for the
Do
emergency.
you feel that there is not enough
She
known
didn't
about
spare her own
emergency
leader.
or not enough available to be reading about emergency? Tell me honestly, have we been kept in the dark? Do we not know enough?
I think over the last 4 years, there's been a lot more publicity which has been given to emergency than any time in the past.
Publicity.
So clearly, I think it has come onto the public stage, but I don't know how much traction it still has. But purely as a subject, as a topic, I think it should be taught. The problem, however, is, and I'll come back to the moot point, it's all very well to say, how will the BJP write history? Well, my question is that history was rewritten in the 70s under the Marxist influence. The only difference between a Professor Nurul Hasan and a Dinanath Batra is that Nurul Hasan could write better English, and probably Dinanath Batra is not as well versed in the Oxfordian or whatever Cambridge English and those social mores and Fabian socialism of the English variety. Perhaps that is the only difference. Otherwise, the job which both of them were doing was the same. So if you look at the history which was taught before Nurul Hasan inflicted the Marxist historians on us, it was a very different history which was taught. Then history takes a turn, and now probably somebody else is giving it a bit of a twist. So the moot point is that every successive government tries to write history in a way it suits them, which is why I come back to the basic point. Are we capable or can we be dispassionate enough, objective enough to write history the way it should be written in an objective manner? And I have serious doubts about it, because as the gentleman, I don't know who he was, who was speaking in Hindi, was talking about people who are still involved in day-to-day politics, in the rough and tumble of politics, who were very much part of what happened during emergency. Now, if you have those kind of people running the country, how do you expect them to have or take a dispassionate view of what exactly happened in emergency? Similarly,
Professor
on the other side
Rajput,
of the
respond
political
to that.
fence, the
We would
Congress
like a
party
neutral
feels
view
that,
here
they
on
can be
this, and that's the
targeted
larger
because of what they
concern.
did during those
How is
21
this
months.
going to be neutral? Yes, Professor Rajput, how is this going to be
I'm not
neutral
able to
and
listen to-
unfiltered, apolitical view on emergency?
Experts of history writing, historicity say,
Hello?
history will always be as objective as a human being can be. So don't expect perfect objectivity in any history writing. But remember, there has to be no apprehensions by those who themselves for 40 years were trying to mutilate history. This I am saying as an academic. I have seen the books. I had a book on history. In one particular chapter, Mahatma Gandhi found 1/8 of a page for his image, and Lenin had a full page image. And I was shocked to see that. But this is all we have done. Now, this Aryan invasion theory is now scientifically disapproved. The existence of river Saraswati, all those things have been very subjectivity dealt with in many books. Things are now corrected in many places. There are historians who do not agree to it. But when somebody was objecting to this emergency, let me ask one thing. Emergency was for 21 months, fine. For how many days was the Quit India movement? Will you ignore Quit India movement? Would you not like your future generations to know about it? If you want to know how people came together for freedom, they should also know how freedom was snatched from them. Therefore, it is as important as any other event in the history.
And it was as big a
in the
disaster as
growth and
emergency
development
was.
of the country.
Okay. All right, Sanjay, respond to that, because this is
Therefore,
of course
it has
along the
to be
lines
brought.
echoing
It
the
has to be
HRD
brought.
minister's sentiment and calling it the second freedom struggle of the country. The emergency, which is now effectively going to be defined as
Well,
the second freedom struggle of the country.
Well, I hope you will not interrupt me
There is
when
no
I'm
harm to have
answering.
that view.
My
Anybody
answer
can
is
have
going to
that
be very
view. What's
brief,
wrong
so
with
rest assured about that. Can I answer,
Okay.
sir, without your interruption? My answer is going to be very brief.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead,
Mr.
Sanjay.
Prakash Javadekar should have the courage of his convictions to kindly have a chapter and perhaps even a book on the Gujarat riots of 2002, where the Supreme Court called the then Chief Minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi, as Nero for fiddling around while the city burnt and over 1,000 people died. I think the young people of India
Then
need
we
to
should
know.
have chapters
I
on
don't know whether
Assam
you have done your
riot,
research
Bhagalpur
well enough to
riots.
know.
Tamilpur riots.
Can I answer? Can we have a discipline on your
Sanjay,
channel today where somebody
No, no,
speaks
no,
without
you're
an
talking about
interruption?
Gujarat
Because I have been
riots.
very
Anila, let
dignified.
him answer.
And if somebody
Anila,
wants me
I'll
to
come
interrupt
to you
them, I
in just a
can.
bit, but
Happened
please don't
during
interrupt at
Congress
this time.
tenure.
Anila.
If some, let
No,
me
it
tell
is
you, I
not-
can
Okay,
easily
okay,
raise my
I will
voice
come
and
to you,
drown
Anila,
anybody
for
here.
that
I have no
response.
problem. If you want a fish market, let's go for it.
Sanjay, go ahead.
I think you
No,
better
no,
drown
Sanjay,
her
go
voice because
ahead.
she's going to
Just you
keep doing
speaking.
that. Yeah. So my point
Wait,
is,
I just want to know from Sanjay
my
that we should
point
have
is very
chapters.
straightforward. मैडम सिंह जरा चुपचाप रहिए जरा शांति बनाइए बाबा रामदेव का मेडिटेशन कीजिए
That's all right, Sanjay. She's
दिमाग
got the
को
point.
ठंडा
Sanjay, go
रखिए
ahead.
चिल्लाइए
It's
मत
okay, Sanjay. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So my
Sanjay, go ahead.
yeah. So my simple point here is, that you need to tell your people, you need to tell the young kids who are studying as to the dangers of a fascist communal government. And I think, do you know this? That in the textbooks of NCERT, they have actually changed that the Gujarat riots was against Muslims. They have removed the term against Muslims. This is being done by the NCERT. And the gentleman who was speaking, waxing eloquent on NCERT, may I also tell him, sir, कि जरा बाबरी मस्जिद demolition के बारे में बात किया जाए, जहाँ पर the whole chorus of the BJP was एक धक्का और दो बाबरी मस्जिद तोड़ दो, and they divided India.
All right, Sanjay,
India
once again, I'm going to be asking you, what are the
after
fears
that.
of the Congress
These are
if you have
realities we
another
need to
chapter
confront.
justifiably written on the emergency? If it was such a huge blot, and most certainly it was a huge blot in the history of the country, what are your fears? Are your fears that your great leader is going to be demonized in perhaps specifics with respect to what we had Mr. Arun Jaitley's statement here, blog stating here as well, that inflation had touched about 25%, the country was in a state of disaster, labor laws were made more stringent, people were jailed, there were no fundamental rights. What really are the Congress fears? If we have one existing chapter, let's have a few more for the students.
Well, I can tell you, if you are dispassionate and neutral, then the chapters must also include in the modern political history that you have at the moment a democratically, elected dictatorship, where the judges of the Supreme Court have said that India's democracy is in danger, where a Gauri Lankesh is murdered, where a BJP MP goes, an MLA leader in Jammu and Kashmir says that the journalists will face the same fate of Shujat Bukhari if they speak against the government, where Barkha Dutt goes on record to say she's getting
all right,
threats from
Anila,
Mr. Modi's
if you could
government
respond
and
to
is not
that,
allowed to
because
start
there
a
are
TV
also
channel, then
senior
let's be
voices there
graphic.
from
Let's
within
be
the BJP.
detailed.
The Rajasthan BJP unit senior leader Ghanshyam Tiwari said the same thing a couple of days back, saying that this is an undeclared state of emergency. Former Union Minister Yashwant Sinha said the same thing, that today we are dealing with an undeclared state of emergency.
And it's for 49 months.
Frustrated lots. See, Sanjay Gandhi, just wait a minute, sorry. Yes, Sanjay Jha's leader, Rahul Gandhi, the so-called said president of the party, I don't know who is the real president in today's date, whether Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi.
What do you mean by so-called?
Rahul Gandhi speaks about the freedom
what do you mean by so-called?
And
what do you mean by so-called?
But
No, what do you mean by so-called?
Okay, Sanjay, irrespective, Anila, complete your point.
Politically illiterate that you come for a TV channel without even knowing that Mr. Gandhi is a
all right, Sanjay, we got your point. Anila, go ahead. You have senior voices. Anila, you have very senior voices from within the party questioning today's state of affairs and calling this an undeclared emergency. So why should we go 43 years back of what was officially an emergency today to what is largely being seen by many as undeclared emergency? Anila.
It is
49 months of an undeclared emergency since Modi became Prime Minister.
People who were indulged in black money,
Sanjay, let Anila respond.
who were indulged in corruption, who were indulged in all wrong activities harming this country of ours. For them, it is undeclared emergency.
Like Nirav
But
Modi.
all those people who want the development of our country,
Nirav Modi
for
to
them,
aapke
this is the
dost hain.
time. They can come in front. They can participate in the development of India. So I just want to come back and I want to ask Sanjay Jha that Rahul Gandhi says that in today's date, we do not have freedom for judiciary, we do not have freedom for
Madam,
press,
you are not
we do
prepared
not
for
have
this debate.
freedom for this, freedom of
Ye
that.
election
I need
speech
to
nahi hai.
understand what was that during the emergency and how the administration, police,
What was
press,
what?
everybody was crawling in front of
What was
Indira
what?
Gandhi.
All right, okay,
What
so
was
we've
that?
got down to
That
political,
is backward.
we've got down to political
What was
bashing.
that when
We've
Justice
got down to
Khanna was
political
suspended?
bashing along expected
And,
lines. Professor Rao, you had
I
an
need
interesting
to
point
understand
here,
that
which
when-
is along
when
the lines
Justice
of
Ray
what
was appointed,
earlier
I
BJP
need to
leaders had
understand
stated
how
as well.
you
We
think
have
that
Ghanshyam
the
Tiwari, we have
judiciary
Yashwant
has
Sinha saying that should we really be looking back 43 years if today they're looking at witnessing an undeclared state of emergency in the country? Professor Rao, what is there in your view to understand about what happened exactly 43 years ago, which the government wants to put across so emphatically?
You know, I think we've got to look at there's a bigger issue here. When you're talking about curriculum in schools and colleges and universities, there is something called autonomy of universities, autonomy of educational institutions. The governments come and go. It's unfortunate, the HRD minister is saying that a chapter needs to be written. Who has to decide? It is the professors, who are the teachers, and other teachers decide what kind of a curriculum we need to teach. The autonomy of institutions and universities and colleges and schools need to be respected. Then if you are talking about history during, yes, it's an objective way one has to write. History is not mythology. Yes, emergency has taken place. We need to write about that dark chapter of Indian history. But at the same time, we also need to talk about contemporary history of what is happening in India. Javadekar talked about reality.
Okay.
The reality of this country is now mind-boggling. There is communal politics.
All right.
They're communalizing all institutions. They're communalizing judiciary. They're communalizing various institutions. That reality also needs to be taught. Yes. In institution, we need to sensitize.
All right,
students to
उपेंद्र
various
प्रसाद
kinds
जी
of
जो
concerns
आपने कहा
of this
इमरजेंसी
country.
के
Is
बारे
there a
में
secularism
और
in
जो
India?
हालात
Secular
आज
politics
के
in
देश
India?
में हैं, क्या आपको
Is there
लगता है
secular politics
सरकार
in India?
को
We need to talk about that.
इमरजेंसी
We
के
need to
बारे में
discuss in the
सोचना
colleges
चाहिए
and
कि आजकल के
colleges and
बच्चों को
universities.
इमरजेंसी के बारे में पता चले? We got your
Government
point,
cannot
Professor Rao. Let me
interfere.
ask this
The
question. Let
bottom
me ask
line
this
is
very simple
government
question
cannot
to
interfere
Mr.
with
Prasad.
what should be
Can I
taught
have
and
some
what should not be
silence,
taught.
please?
One example.
I cannot bear this absolute cacophony. Can I have some silence, please?
पैनल
Professor
में जो
Rao,
डिस्कशन
Anila,
हो रहे हैं कुछ साथियों ने
Let's not have
गुजरात
this
का दंगा
cacophony.
का
Yes,
हवाला दिया।
उपेंद्र प्रसाद जी,
मेरे
क्या
कहने
आपको
का
लगता
मतलब है
है
कि इमरजेंसी और
जी
गुजरात
नहीं,
के दंगे में बहुत
उपेंद्र
अंतर
जी,
है।
क्या आपको लगता है कि आज
इमरजेंसी
की
के दौरान
सरकार को
नागरिक अधिकार को
इमरजेंसी
छीना
की
गया।
तरफ ज्यादा
और आज
गौर
हम
या
लोग जो
तवज्जो
आपके
देना
चैनल में
चाहिए?
डिस्कशन कर रहे हैं, यदि आज इमरजेंसी होता तो हम डिस्कशन भी नहीं कर पाते। इसलिए दोनों को एक से हम नहीं तुलना कर सकते हैं। निश्चित रूप से नागरिक अधिकार को इमरजेंसी में हनन हुआ है और प्रेस की आज़ादी का हनन हुआ है, सभी तरह के अधिकार का हमारा हनन हुआ है। निश्चित इसको इमरजेंसी एक काला अध्याय है और बच्चों को भविष्य में इमरजेंसी के बारे में जानकारी मिले, इसके लिए इसको चैप्टर में शामिल होना चाहिए।
अभी प्रजातंत्र बड़ा मजबूत है
जी
हाँ, जरा बताइए ना, जवाब दीजिए ना। प्रजातंत्र बड़ा
निश्चित रूप से
Sushant, you wanted to step in, asking about Sanjay, this is unfair. Sanjay, stop interrupting, please.
डिस्कशन भी नहीं किए होते। उस समय जो भी सच्चाई को बोलता था उसे जेल में बंद कर दिया जाता था। इसलिए इमरजेंसी को तुलना इससे नहीं कर सकते
नहीं हो रहा है।
हमारे यहाँ इसी बिहार में एक नागार्जुन कवि हुए थे। एक नागार्जुन कवि हुए थे। उस इमरजेंसी पर जितना तीखा उन्होंने बयान दिया था, उन्होंने लिखा था, देश के 5 पुत्रों का उन्होंने हवाला दिया था और उन्होंने माना था 5 पुत्र कौन कौन है। एक माना था पंडित चंद्रशेखर आजाद को, दूसरा सुभाष चंद्र बोस को माना था, जीना को माना था, नेहरू को माना था।
Okay, Upendra ji, we got your point. We got your point, Upendra ji. Sushant, if you could step in at this point. Sanjay, do not interrupt. Sushant, we're asking about the relevance of having emergency in history chapters. If you have Mughal history, can I have some silence, please? If you have Mughal history in the Maharashtra textbooks being reduced to 3 lines, emergency, which lasted for 21 months, be reduced to 1 sentence. We're asking about the relevance for today's children to be reading about something that happened 43 years ago. Should the government of the day be focusing on it?
No, I think every single incident which happens or every single topic which is important for making a better citizenry, I think that needs to be taught. History needs to be taught, and if somebody is stupid enough to reduce 300 years into 3 sentences, then I think they're doing grave injustice to future generations. One point I would completely agree with Sanjay Jha, that yes, the 2002 riots should be taught, but that was not the only riot in this country. I suggest we must have a separate chapter on riots, and I don't think the Congress party will come out looking very good, because you have 1984, you have Bhagalpur, you have Bhiwandi, you have Muradabad, you have Malyana, you have Meerut. I could Bhiwandi, I could count riot after riot after riot.
Sahib, the majority of them are perpetrated by the RSS and the Sangh Parivar.
Holier than thou.
And the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and the Bajrang Dal.
Sarin Sahib, why
उसमें
this
पूरा
kind
संघ
of a
परिवार
thing
का ही
is
बहुत
not
बड़ा भूमिका है,
acceptable
भूलिएगा
in any
नहीं.
kind of
All right,
public
Professor
behavior.
Rao, you were
Any
saying
kind of
that one should be focusing more, the government of the day, in fact, instead of looking at history books and sifting through what's been mentioned, what's not.
दूध का दूध पानी का
Professor
पानी
Rao,
निकल
the
आएगा.
government of the day, as you feel, should be focusing on today's current affairs, on the state of affairs of what the country is going through. But Professor Rao, what do you feel about the comparison? The comparison that we had the HRD minister make, comparing the emergency to the freedom struggle and saying this was the second freedom struggle
we need to talk.
That the country faced.
No. Yeah, we certainly need to teach, history. History has to be written by historians. What happened during the emergency has to be objectively be reflected. It should be based on facts. At the same time, it is also important to know when you're talking about, if someone is making a comparison, that is his opinion, that is the second freedom struggle. I'm one of those people, as a professor, feel autonomy of institutions is very, very important. Syllabus, curriculum has to be framed by the teachers, not by the government. Not by the government. And the other important dimension is we also need to talk about contemporary history. I'm sure all of us sitting on the panel today, our children should know what's happening in India. What is the reality of India? Reality of India. Today, if we don't understand cow, we don't understand politics of this country. We also need to talk about cow politics. We also need to talk about communal politics which is taking place in this country. We also need to talk about who destroyed Babri Masjid, in what kind of a context they destroyed, who is responsible. All this is also part of history. History is objective. History is objective reflections.
Anila, all right, step in, Anila. You want to respond to all that is being said, but also answer this question. Anila, you respond to what the other panelists have said, but also answer this question. Listen to my question. Anila, listen to my question. Anila, my question being here, when we have leaders, union ministers, saying that there was a sense of fear, an atmosphere of fear at a time when the country was going through these 21 months of emergency. There are many who say that there is a similar atmosphere of fear that exists today in the country, and multiple cases of lynching that have happened based on mere rumors. How is the government looking into current cases? If we are so concerned about the atmosphere of fear that was created 43 years ago, what about the atmosphere of fear today that we are living through?
I will answer you.
Correct.
See, we are having government in 20 states. We are here in our country on more than 70% of its geographical
is that your
area.
answer?
So what is it?
Madam,
the people of this country
are you
they
aware
fools?
of the lynching
they
of
don't
the
know
poor people
that
in
whom they have to
Hapur?
vote? Sanjay
And
Jha,
you're
I very
claiming
well
to be in
know.
20
I very well
states.
know that what is your party.
Horribly embarrassing.
Anila, despite that incredible record that you're stating, despite that record number of states that the BJP is ruling in, tell me one lynching case in which the accused is being sent to the gallows.
Apologize.
So people of this country,
You must
Anila, tell me one lynching case here. Tell me one lynching case that has happened in Rajasthan, Haryana or Madhya Pradesh, in states that the BJP rules in, where the accused is serving term.
And who can forget that RSS and Jamaat Islami, they were banned. Why? Like they had ill-treated
Anila, that's
both.
the problem. You're not
Equally.
listening to
Whether
my
they were
question.
Muslim, Hindus, everybody
You're
was
going off on a tangent.
ill-treated. And people should know about the history. How Indira Gandhi, how Indira Gandhi, like she forced each and every person who into jail. who spoke
Anila,
anything
have
against
some
her.
sense of understanding,
against her
please,
own
if I might
leaders.
say this to you. Anila, you're talking about with great
I
pride
have to
the
tell.
number of states that the BJP rules in, and in the number of states that the BJP rules in with respect to the atmosphere of fear today on lynching cases that have taken place in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh,
What
Gujarat,
atmosphere you're
Haryana.
talking about?
How
What
many of
atmosphere
those
you're talking
accused?
about?
How many of those
What
accused?
like some
How many of those
some
accused
news you want
have
to air,
been
and then
nabbed?
you want to say that Bharatiya Janata Party is not is, no. I just want to know.
No.
I just want to know
I
a simple thing.
am talking
So
about
people
the atmosphere
in all
of
those
fear,
states where Bharatiya
which
Janata
is
Party
what
is in
the
rule,
emergency
are they
chapters
fools?
are pegged
They have
at
elected
and
us.
will be
Are
pegged
they
at
fools?
eventually.
And don't they
The
understand?
fresh emergency chapters
No,
that we
no.
have
Just
now for
like-
our students in the coming years
You
is
say-
going to be talking about that atmosphere of fear. I want to know what is the government today doing for today's atmosphere of fear that exists in the
today's
country
date,
on people
in
being
the-
lynched on
see,
mere
India
rumors.
is- Rumors are being created by such political parties like Congress, who have lost their ground. And if few news, they
All right.
keep on airing.
No.
on
You're
few of the
simply
channels, and they want
missing
to
the
prove
point, unfortunately,
that
Anila.
there is-
You are
that
so
there is
driven by your
definitely-
politics.
there is
I'm afraid I'll have to
definitely
leave it at that.
wrong
Appreciate all the
in this
voices here that have come in
country that I do
from
not
our panelists. But this is what I want to leave our viewers with. If this is really purely about studying history and being neutral. So let's have these chapters. Let's have more chapters. There's already a huge chapter existing in the NCERT Class 12 books. Let's have more chapters. Let's today's generation know what happened 43 years ago, what happened 2 generations ago, but that is not going to impact our lives today and most certainly not our votes today. It is clear that this is political posturing for the upcoming elections. Do we really think that the Indian voter today will keep in mind what happened in 1975? Or will the Indian voter look at jobless growth, bank scams with our money being taken away, disaster of demonetization which forced businesses to shut down, and how fuel prices burnt a hole in our wallet? If we are talking about an atmosphere of fear that existed in 1975, there is a fear of people being lynched on mere rumors today. There is a fear of women being raped and murdered in the country today. Let's fix today's fear first. Thanks for being with us.